Aryna Sabalenka just defended Miami. Iga Swiatek is sliding. Coco Gauff is rising. And somehow, none of that is the story right now. Because the most wanted piece of gear in women's tennis doesn't belong to a Grand Slam champion. It belongs to a player ranked outside the top 40. Alex Eala. And her custom Nike jersey is making the biggest brands in sports look completely out of touch. While Adidas pours millions into global campaigns and Nike dominates the top-tier athlete deals, the Women's Tennis Association keeps pushing the same names week after week. But the product creating real organic demand? It's not from the top 10. It's from a 20-year-old with no WTA titles who wasn't even in the top 100 less than a year ago. That's not normal. That's either the most accidental brand breakthrough tennis has ever seen, or proof that every other kit deal is missing what fans actually feel when they buy a shirt. And it all started with something incredibly small. July 1st, 2025, Wimbledon. On the morning of her debut, Alex Eala received a simple white box. No cameras, no campaign, no announcement, just a box. Inside it, a single handcrafted hair tie, decorated with a sampaguita blossom, the national flower of the Philippines. At that moment, she was ranked number 56 in the world. Days earlier, she had just become the first Filipina to reach a WTA final at Eastbourne and lost it in heartbreaking fashion after holding 4 championship points. Now she was stepping onto center court at Wimbledon Championships to face defending champion Barbara Krejcikova. The pressure couldn't have been higher. And Nike's response? Not content, not hype, something personal. The box was lined with a miniature tennis court design. Inside, alongside the hair tie, was a handwritten note. Every dream begins as a seed. And beneath it, a Filipino proverb. No release, no product drop,
No plan to sell it.
just a one-of-one piece. And that's exactly what changed everything. Because the moment fans saw it, they wanted it.
Badly.
Within hours, social media filled with one question. Where can we buy this? And Nike's answer? Nowhere. But instead of killing demand, that answer ignited it. Weeks later, when a limited edition shirt inspired by that same flower finally dropped, it didn't just sell out. It exploded. Resellers took it global within days, shipping from the Philippines to the US, Europe, and the Middle East. A player without a title, without a top ranking, without a traditional global profile, just created one of the most powerful merchandise moments in tennis. All from a flower on a hair tie in a white box. What is sown will be reaped. That line wasn't just a proverb. It was a trigger. Because right after that match, Nike Philippines confirmed something critical. This piece was made exclusively for Alex Eala. Not going into production. Not hitting stores. Not for sale. A true one-of-one. And that decision, making it impossible to own, is exactly what made everyone want it. While Nike handed her a handwritten note and a cultural symbol, the rest of the tennis world kept running the same playbook. Scheduled drops. Pre-planned outfit reveals tied to tournament calendars. Athletes in identical colorways, shot months in advance. Campaigns built by committees. That's not failure. That's the system. At scale, sports merchandising has always worked like this. Standardize. Globalize. Remove the specific in favor of the broadly appealing. For decades, tennis followed that formula perfectly because it believed it knew its audience. A Western, affluent fan. Someone who buys a kit because of legacy, because of a name like Serena Williams, not because the product tells a personal story. But what Nike did on July 1st, 2025 was the complete opposite of that model. They didn't generalize. They went hyper-specific. They created something for one person rooted in one culture, and then made sure it could never be replicated. And in doing that, they didn't just launch a product. They triggered one of the most powerful demand waves tennis has ever seen. The reaction was instant. Filipino fans flooded social media within hours. Where can we buy it? Nike's answer? Nowhere. And that didn't slow demand. It multiplied it. By August 2025, the response finally arrived. A limited edition drop, built around that same flower, released through a Philippine retailer. Designed by Manila-based artist Georgina Camus, The shirt blended the Sampaguita with the grass courts of Wimbledon championships. Her message was simple discipline,
Courage. Growth.
a reminder to bloom in your own time. The collection included t-shirts, tote bags, ball caps, and it didn't just sell. It vanished. Within days, it was on resale markets. Listings popped up across the world, from the Philippines to the US, Europe, and the Middle East. Different sellers, different sizes, every piece moving independently. Think about what that means. A player with no WTA titles, no long-established global brand, no historic commercial backing, just created international resale demand. That has never happened at this scale in women's tennis. And here's where the numbers make it even more fascinating. As of March 2026, Alex Eala sits around world number 45. Career high, number 29, won WTA 125 title, Guadalajara, 2025, no WTA tour-level titles. These aren't dominant numbers. They're the profile of a rising player, not a global superstar. But the breakthroughs are real. At the 2025 Miami Open, she stunned the field, beating players like Madison Keys and Iga Swiatek in the same run. Moments like that build attention. But this built connection. And that's the difference. One creates headlines. The other creates demand. Because what exploded here wasn't performance. It was meaning. And that's why this isn't just a merch story. It's a warning. For every brand still trying to sell the same story, to an audience that's clearly ready for something real. She reached the semifinals as a wild card, ranked number 140. A breakthrough run, but still no titles. And yet, her kit is the one selling out. Her shirt is the one showing up on resale markets. Her collaboration is the one driving the cultural conversation. Meanwhile, the biggest names in the sport are fully backed. Adidas has Coco Gauff, a Grand Slam champion and global star. Nike has Iga Swiatek, a multi-time major winner dominating the rankings. And the Women's Tennis Association continues to push those names across every platform, every week. But here's the reality no one wants to say out loud. None of those campaigns created this kind of demand. No instant sellouts. No global resale within days. No fans posting emotional captions in 2 languages about what a design means to their identity. That gap between money spent and emotion created, that's the blind spot. Because it's easy to dismiss this as luck, to say the timing worked, that a breakout run met a well-placed design and the internet did the rest. But that explanation misses the point entirely. This wasn't random. The Sampaguita isn't just a design. It's the national flower of the Philippines, recognized since 1934. And more importantly, it carries meaning. It represents purity, humility, perseverance. It's sold in garlands outside churches, on roadside stalls, woven into everyday life. This isn't fashion. It's memory. It's identity. It's home. So when Nike placed that flower on a hair tie for Alex Eala before her debut at Wimbledon Championships, they weren't just styling an athlete. They were sending a message without words that this moment didn't just belong to her. It belonged to the Philippines. That she wasn't just stepping onto center court, she was bringing her country with her. And millions of fans understood that instantly. No translation needed. That's why her caption resonated so deeply. A reminder of where I came from and the culture I always carry. That line doesn't come from a marketing brief. You can't script that. You can't manufacture it. It comes from someone who understood exactly what that moment meant. And that authenticity, that's the one thing no brand can fake. It's also the one thing most sponsorships are missing. From Coco Gauff's Adidas deal, to Iga Swiatek's Nike partnership, to every polished campaign built around the top 20, they're all powerful. They're all polished. But they don't feel like this. And that brings us to the bigger picture. Nike hasn't had an easy stretch. Questions about relevance. Over-reliance on legacy stars. Doubts about whether it still understands culture the way it once did. Moves like the Schemes partnership hinted at a shift. But this is something different. Because what this moment proved is that there's a massive, emotionally invested and commercially active audience in Southeast Asia that has been completely overlooked. Filipino fans stayed up all night to watch matches. They showed up. They filled stadiums. They bought everything available, even the things that weren't supposed to be sold. That's not a niche. That's a market. A powerful one. They didn't just watch. They bought in. Tickets, shirts, ball caps. And when supply ran out, they built resale markets for items that were never meant to be resold. That's not a niche audience. That's a market revealing itself in real time. An untapped force, activated by one cultural moment and one athlete ready to carry it. For decades, tennis treated Southeast Asia as a place to grow the sport. More courts, more programs, more development pipelines. But not as a market of serious, emotionally invested consumers. Not as fans who want to see themselves reflected in the game. The demand behind Alex Eala's jersey just proved that assumption wrong. Completely. She's 20 years old. A career-high ranking of number 29 in March 2026. Still chasing her first major title. Right now, she's preparing for the clay swing, eyeing events like French Open as a chance to take the next step. And behind the scenes, sponsors are already circling, because the comparisons are obvious. What Emma Raducanu became after the 2021 US Open, that level of commercial explosion, that's now on the table. But here's the part brands should be paying attention to. If she breaks through on clay, wins a title, or makes a deep run in Paris. What we're seeing right now, this jersey moment. It won't look like the peak. It'll look like the preview. Because the hardest part is already done. The infrastructure is built. The fan base is activated. The emotional connection is real and already translating into spending. Whoever signs her next isn't starting from zero. They're stepping into something that already exists. Something that started with the flower, a hair tie, and a handwritten note. That's a rare position for any athlete. For a 20-year-old, it's almost unheard of. And it all comes back to one decision by Nike, to create something personal, something cultural, something that couldn't be mass-produced. A message that said, "She is one of yours and this moment belongs to you too." That's why this jersey didn't blow up because of strategy. It blew up because, for once, tennis stopped trying to manufacture meaning and let something real happen. That's the story. And honestly, we're probably still at the very beginning of where this goes next. If you want more breakdowns like this, the business, the culture, the stories behind the headlines, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. Because this channel isn't about box scores. It's about what's actually shaping the future of women's tennis. Now I want to hear from you. Did Nike plan this perfectly? Or did they stumble into the most powerful organic brand moment in tennis history? Drop your take below.